Namaste. I am Chitra Arvind, a movement artist and a choreographer based in Bengaluru. First of all, thanks to Sheshadri for inviting me to be part of the Web Trio series. Thanks, Sheshadri. I'm going to talk about a few topics today in relation to trained body and my perceptions and my experiences. So, I love stories. And storytelling gives me a lot of joy. Why stories? I can see movement in stories, and stories communicate, and dance is all about communication. I can see movement in the character, in the emotion, in the technique, of course, and that's what connects me to dance and also the whole idea of stories. And movement may be abstract or it could have lyrics, irrelevant, but there is always, for me personally, something to say. So I will very briefly tell you, I've been trained in Bharatanatyam and Kathak in contemporary dance forms like Graham, Cunningham, release techniques, Kalaripayattu martial art forms, Thanta, Chow, and Kathak. See, all this happened quite organically. It's not like I planned my life. And of course, when I started out, a small story, of course my parents said, she's interested in dance, I can see her moving. See, they recognize movement. And I was put into the Bharatanatyam class like any other South Indian girl, right? And then, also what is important is the fact that our minds have to be open when you are imbibing movement. Now, for me, there is no conflict when it comes to dance styles or dance forms, neither in my mind nor in my body. I love imbibing, I love the beauty of anything or anybody that is moving. Movement is there, movement is everywhere. It's in nature, it's in you, it's in me, it's everywhere, right? So now, the story, going back to the story. So, we would wake up in the morning, my sisters and I, and the first thing we would listen to was the shlokas my dad would recite first in the morning when we were getting ready to go to school. And then we used to come back from school and we would hear my mom playing the veena and taking classes in Carnatic vocal and veena. So that's a kind of upbringing. And then weekends, one day in a week, those days when there was only Doordarshan, my dad and I were the only two people who would stay up late in the night, and we would watch English movies, once a week. And then one day we were watching Anna Pavlova, and my dad said, you are interested in dance, right? If you want to pursue dance, this is the kind of dedication you ought to have. And he was not like bothered about, oh, it's ballet or is it classical dance. No, nothing. He just said, yeah, it's dedication. So the whole point is the essence of it. Essence of movement, the essence of being open to accepting. That, for me, is being the greatest revelation, because I have never judged any dance style, not judged any body, and most of all, for me, my personal journey has been like doubting myself for a very long time, but then eventually, as I kept practicing and as I started being exposed to more art forms, that's when I started becoming comfortable. So it kind of worked the other way around also. As a child, I could just pick up anything and imitate anything without analyzing. But now, pedagogy, see, that is a very important aspect where I learned how to analyze movements. While teaching someone, that's when I had to break it down, understand it. And what I thought I could just do like this was like a lot. And that I learned a lot just by doing that. And that is like an ongoing journey. I really thank all my gurus who have been so generous in like imparting dance training and everything that they've taught me. But also, I thank my students and every single dancer I've come across, every single movement artist I've come across, who I've learned from them in different ways, just by observing, just by talking to them. It's been a wonderful experience. That way, it's been really great. So I will just show a small It's a small short clip from one of my solo works from quite some time ago. It's called Yatra River of Life, and there I've depicted two characters. One is Samatha, one is Laukika. So Samatha is the balanced one, Laukika is the impulsive one. Two characters, right? And then the thing is, are these characters two different people, or do they exist in the same person? That was the whole idea of the piece. Now this particular clip, what I'm going to show you, is just the balanced one, Samatha. Yes? So I'm going to flip the camera to the other side, and I hope it's visible. There. Okay, that was a short demonstration of that dance. It's now, it is not about am I doing a particular dance style here, am I putting that style after this style, or it's just about the training that is ingrained in my body after all these years of training, and how I am able to express a concept just by having been in that time zone of practicing and learning. So for me, practice has been initially not so serious that of late, but then after many years I realized that repetition is so important. It's so very important. The more you repeat the same movement over and over again, you discover a lot more new things, and it doesn't have to be any particular style. It just is the movement itself. It's like a trance, and at the same time it is training your body in different ways. I'm just going to show another bit, which is a work in progress of two dancers. It's a duet, and this I worked with two again dancers who are an Indian peer who are trained in more than one dance style. And the concept was it was for PECTA, the Park Festival, and the concept was shadows and man. Of course, the philosophical meaning is a lot more about how there is a shadow for every person, within you, outside of you. You cannot get away from it, you cannot run away from it. It is there all the time, and a lot more. But let's look at the movement aspect of it, the physical aspects of it, and also you can probably kind of see where it is going. Anyway, just watch it. It's a lot more interesting that way. There is no music because this is a work in progress. That's a short clip from, yes, I'm just going to stop that. Yeah, all are pretty much long pieces, but I'm just showing you excerpts of it. So, again, it is about the movement within you that has been in every single muscle, the muscle memory, not just the brain memory, which is the important aspect of this entire training of the body. In my experience as a choreographer, my work with my artists depends entirely, well, at least more than 50% on what their bodies can do and what they can give when I suggest certain guidelines. So that makes it interesting, and that makes it all the more challenging, because I would have had a certain vision in my mind, and then when I see my dancers, when I imagine them, it's always different. But when you see them, and then you see there are so many more possibilities of how the movement and how the ideas and how the concepts can actually be worked out. Working with oneself is a whole different ball game, and working with other dancers is like a completely different experience, and it's always an enjoyable experience because there is so much give and take that is happening when you're working with the other artists. There is another group production. This is, like, remember I said about stories? I always believe, be it a solo or a duet or a group, that it has to convey something, it has to communicate something. Again, there may be a narrative or there may not be a narrative, but for me, that is a very important aspect. I have kind of followed and would like to, I'm not sure, probably for some more time now. This another bit is from a dance piece called Srishtikarta. This one is quite, it's again probably 10 years old. I premiered it in 2010, and the dancers have been kind of changing, you know. The artists who have been coming in and out over these 10 years have been a lot, and then even the movement vocabulary has changed because of the different dance training and different languages that they have within their own bodies that brings out a different flavor every time. The concept remains the same, of man being egoistic and thinking that he can, he's the creator of the world, that he is Srishtikarta. That is the idea. But again, each artist brings out their own interpretation of it, because there are certain parts where they are allowed to bring out the best ideas of what the concept can express. And just a brief, okay, here we go. These are just excerpts, it's not the whole thing, so.
To let this carry on. The evolution from fire to fossil fuels to nuclear energy is a part of improving human health and welfare.
So that's briefly what I've been able to show on the thing. I actually thought I could do something live, but I'm not sure we have enough time. So should we or not? I'm not sure. Okay, this probably I'll just not use the music and just show very briefly what it is that you all know the story of Gajendra Moksha. So there is this whole section where you have the elephant and the crocodile, which has been used in a proper Bharatanatyam production called Rakshisu Namana Navarata, where this section of the crocodile and the elephant has been kind of interesting, because I've received a lot of nice feedback about it, and I always think that it's kind of like different from the usual depiction, maybe a little bit, and we can kind of like move on to the, hopefully. So, a longer sequence, but yes. All right, I hope I was able to share some experiences and some little things that I know. Any questions, welcome to ask, or I think it's time to sign off. We have 2 more wonderful speakers. Thank you, Sheshalji, once again, and good luck to you all. Shubh Ratri.